Alright, so I had some comments on the last video that I did on Tonikawa where they were like, maybe Tsukasa might be who NASA thought she was, and I was like, nah, she's not, right? Right? Anyway, welcome back to the channel, everybody. Welcome back to our weekly Tonikawa Over the Moon for You discussion video. Today we're going to be talking all about episode 4, Promise. But before we do, quick reminder if you haven't done so yet, hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, set notifications to all, let all of AniTube know that you're here. But with that said, what do you say we go ahead and dig into this episode a little bit? There's a few things that I want to talk about, but I actually want to start by talking about, of all people, NASA. I know that might seem odd, but I have to mention that NASA is top tier this week. Like, NASA is absolutely top tier. Like, to me, I was just... I already knew that I liked NASA, right? Like, I already knew that I was like, NASA's a good lad. He's a good boy. He's a bit, like, aloof, but that's okay. Like, he's mostly just a really sweet dude. This week, like, hammered it home that, like, NASA is a genuinely, like, best boy candidate. Now, we all knew, like, why NASA had fallen for Tsukasa, but to me, it was always sort of, like, interesting as to why Tsukasa would have fallen for NASA. And, like, again, we knew he was a nice boy, but I was just curious what it was that she saw in NASA outside of the fact that he's a good boy. We saw it a little bit in episode 3, like, a little bit with the hot springs thing, but this week really hammered it home. Like, the idea that he is just, like, he's incredibly driven, and he's very practical, you know, like, NASA's catchphrase is, you know, like, I'll reach the speed of light before NASA, or whatever the hell. Like, NASA just trying to say that he's gonna reach the moon and hit the speed of light before NASA could even blink and stuff like that. Like, I know that's not the catchphrase, I'm paraphrasing. But, like, just the idea that he's so incredibly driven, like, he wants to take, like, this name that has dogged him for years and actually, like, turn it into a motivator. He's incredibly driven as a character. And he's very practical, you know, like, he looks at the world as it is. And I think that might play into, like, what the show might do with Tsukasa, given how practical, like, our boy is. You know, like, he sees the world, like, as is, very mundane, basic reality, where I'm starting to question if maybe that's going to be brought into question later. But regardless, NASA is, you know, he's down to earth. Sorry, a lot of, like, celestial body puns here. But yeah, NASA is absolutely top tier. Again, a bit aloof, you know, like, leaving Tsukasa at home alone with the keys, maybe not the wisest move, but still. Like, just the fact that the man is so dedicated to her already. He's, like, incredibly sweet and kind and thoughtful. And he is, like, he keeps a tidy home, you know? Like, he runs back when he realizes that he left her alone with the only key. He feels bad about that. And the fact that he properly attempts to speak with Chitose, who we meet this week, even though she's blowing up and ready to kill him, he actually attempts to have this, like, proper discussion with her. Like, he doesn't refute what she says right away. He's just like, yeah, you know, you're right to feel that way. It is a little bit weird. Like, we're very young and we only, like, met, like, not that long ago. And, like, it is kind of sudden. I totally understand and respect why you're upset. But what do you say? We chill out, have some lunch, talk about things. Might be a good idea. Try to figure out where we stand. He's a really practical dude. I like that NASA is so genuinely just sweet. I don't know. There's no other real word for it. And sweet is the name of the game when dealing with characters like Chitose, Aurora, and Charlotte. I'll get into them in just a sec. But the fact that he had to deal with all of that, and he didn't try to kill them, good lad. But the goodest thing that he does this week is, oh my god, the proposal. So, again, we've already established that they are married, right? Like, legally speaking, they are married. They are a married couple and everything, right? They got the paperwork and everything. They got the friggin' bonsai tree is a deal, right? Like, they're married. But as NASA pointed out last week, they never really had, like, a ceremony or anything, or even really a proposal. Tsukasa just kind of showed up and said, like, hey, you said you were going to marry me, so, like, here I am, right? So they had that, but they never had a proper proposal or a ceremony or nothing. And so when they visit the abandoned church on the hill, right, they have this moment where, like, where NASA hits Tsukasa with this whole speech of like, listen, like whenever something good happens to me, I'm gonna tell you about it, and we'll share in that happiness. And whenever you're upset, I want you to tell me about it, and we'll share in that sadness. And like we're gonna be the couple who shares everything with each other. Like that's what we're gonna do. And I was like, damn, NASA, where did that come from, my dude? And Tsukasa saying like, well, that sounds an awful lot like a proposal. And he's like, yeah, that's because it is. And I was like, oh shit. And he says the friggin' words, daisuki. He says the whole I love you. And then they kiss in the church. And I was emotional. I was like, damn, show, it's episode 4. You got me to... I didn't realize how much you got me to care already. They truly, like... I know that they met... Like that they barely know anything about each other. In fact, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. And I know that, that they're still learning to be around each other and all that shit. And, like, listen, I know that, but they're also not real. It's a fictional story, and I don't really care because they're cute together. You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't care. It's cute as shit. But what do you say we stop talking about Tsukasa and NASA for a sec, start talking about Chitose for a little bit. Chitose is introduced to us this week, and she's basically like your typical tsundere. I don't have a lot to say about Chitose. She's like almost copying Taiga to a point, like even down to appearance. Like, and mind you, I haven't seen a lot of Toradora. I know, shame on me. But like, just that's the first character that popped in my head. I'm like, oh, it's Taiga, but not Taiga. So like, it's just, I was like, she's basic tsundere. She got the long hair. She's short. Like, I was just like, yeah, that's who that is. That said, there is a little bit more going on with the character design. Like, and y'all know I like me some character design. So let's go ahead and like look at the colors chosen first. Like, definitely there's a lot of bright colors here, right? You got the red dress with the red bow, you got the light pink coat with the white frills, and then you got the amber eyes. Now, amber eyes can be seen as very positive, or amber eyes in a design can be seen as being a lot, right? Like, because you're basically mixing yellow and orange together, and those are already loud colors, right? Like, orange and yellow are normally positive, but they can be kind of overwhelming. So when you mix them together, what happens? Overwhelming. And that's definitely Chitose in a nutshell. She is a very overwhelming presence when she shows up in the show. And I'm not against that. I think that, like, her as the quote-unquote antagonist of the story kind of works out. The fact that she thinks of Tsukasa as a sister and yet wants to marry her is weird. This is very weird. But, like, I'm gonna go ahead and dismiss it because they said it's not a blood thing, but still, it's like, that's weird. But then again, like, everybody talks about Barry Allen and friggin', wow, it's been so long since I saw The Flash, I forgot her name. Iris West, oh my god. As a comic book fan, I'm sorry. But yeah, it's like, listen, everybody liked Barry and Iris, and they were living together when they were growing up, so like, whatever, I guess. But still, a little weird. By a little, I mean a lot. But even like the design, like looking beyond the amber eyes, right? The red dress and red bow, red being very confident and powerful, yet pink being very like a younger color. It's like the youngest of the colors, quote unquote. Typically denotes like in a sort of like a newness to the character. There's like she's feminine, she's a bit inexperienced, like, and I kind of get that with Chitose, where she has like the bombast and anger necessary to fill the role she's in, but she's also sort of young and doesn't totally get how the world works and all that stuff, and you get it, right? Like, so when she ties up friggin' NASA and kidnaps him and sends both of her friggin' maids after him, like, you feel like you understand where she's coming from. And I will say, I'm not going to talk about Aurora and Charlotte because they're not even really characters yet. Like, they're just sort of there to help Chitose. Aurora is funny, Charlotte got on my nerves, and that's saying something because anime maids are kind of my thing. So I was kind of shocked that I was like, wow, Charlotte is bothering me. But then again, so was Chitose. Didn't leave the greatest impression on me. But I do think as, like, the quote-unquote antagonist, yeah, I think she's gonna be doing just fine. You know, like just trying to get in, like meddle in their affairs, even though it's probably not ever gonna work. But still, at least Aurora was funny. I thought Aurora was pretty funny. That said, though, there is something that I want to talk to you guys about. And this is the mysteries surrounding Tsukasa. Okay, so I mentioned this at the very beginning of the video. But I had gotten some comments about people saying, like, what if she was, like, actually Kaguya? And I was like, that would be ridiculous, right? I'm like, that would be ridiculous because the show has been so grounded up till now. And that's because we've been seeing things from just NASA's world. Like, we've only seen NASA's point of view. We've met NASA's friends. We've seen NASA's apartment. Like, we haven't really seen much of Tsukasa's world. We know that she is entering that world and is happy with the mundanity, but we don't know a lot about what's happened in her past. We don't know really where she came from, right? Like, we kind of get an idea now, but even then, we don't really get to see the full scope of the mansion. We just know that she stayed there. And so I'm realizing, like, man, like, there's no way, right? But then the instant we see the moon rock and the fact that they say that the moon rock was going to give Tsukasa comfort, and when NASA says, like, why would that give her comfort? And Chitose says, oh my god, you don't know. I was like, wait, what? Right? Like that made me go, like, wait, what? Right? Like, hold on. And, like, with the introduction of characters from Tsukasa's, like, past, we see, like, weird shit happening, right? Like, as an example, when we see, like, just the size of the mansion, like, even, like, the little underground passageway and, like, these huge columns and everything, like the mansion itself is huge. And then look at Charlotte's big-ass sword, right? Like, just crazy stuff starts happening. Right? Like, not like off-the-wall banana pants crazy. It's not like, we're not reaching like Gohan's level of like what is even happening. It still feels like, yeah, I can respect that this is actually happening. Maybe it's exaggerated. But then we see Charlotte swing the sword and like, no, it's real. Like, it's maybe not sharp. It might be like a cosplay thing, but like, it's a big honking sword. Right? And we see like this, that the fact that the mansion really does have an underground passageway that is huge. And so I'm like, okay, so now it feels less grounded and it feels more like we're kind of digging into like, you know, that anime aesthetic where everything's over the top. But if we're going over the top and there's a moon rock in Tsukasa's old room that brings her comfort, and when NASA asks why, Chitose says, oh my god, you don't know, hinting that there's going to be a big reveal at some point. Do you get where I'm going? Is she actually going to be Princess Kaguya? Like reincarnated or something? Is that gonna happen? Is that where we're going? Because if that's where we're going, what the hell? Listen, I'm not against that, but it's just like, all of, like, when you think about it, it's called Tonikawa Over the Moon for you. He's named NASA. We straight up mention and reference Tsukasa as Princess Kaguya. And the moon rock brings her comfort. Is she Kaguya? Like, am I going insane? I must be going insane. It's ridiculous, right? Like, it's ridiculous. I know it's ridiculous. But what if? Okay. I have to end the video here before I start just spiraling into, like, but what ifs? Because, like, it could happen. But anyway, with that said, everybody, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I know it's a little bit shorter than usual. Been trying to keep these to like a more reasonable length. So hope you guys are cool with that. Hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did, don't forget to boop that up snoot. Share if you care, leave a comment down below. And of course, hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, and set notifications to all to let all of AniTube know that you're here. But of course, before we go, I want to give a big thank you to the good folks in the T Squadron. Look at these beautiful people. Look at all these beautiful names. And hey, if you would like to join these beautiful names, then there is 2 ways to do so. The first is by hitting that first link in the description to check out our Patreon page, and the second option is by hitting that join button right beside the sub button to get a badge next to your name and some emotes to spam in the comments, as well as your name scrolling past the screen here. So if that sounds cool to you, go ahead and hit that join button, or hit that Patreon link in the description. Either way, it is a big help, and I appreciate it immensely. So once again, a big thank you to the T Squadron. Y'all are the true MVPs, but that's it for me, so until next time, you stay classy, AniTube, and wash your dang hands.